Hey, Nyakun here. Welcome to OB Studios. In today's video, we're going to learn how I was able to use Breakdance and Motion.Page to recreate some of the animations that you are going to see on Linear.App's hero section. So let's get into WordPress and Breakdance and then start building out what we need. And then after that, we're going to do the animation using Motion.Page. All right, so here is my Breakdance canvas. So from beginning, we're going to start with the background, and then we're going to start from top to bottom. We're not going to do anything with the header. That is not our focus. We're just going to do from here and then to here, and then add a bit of animation to it. So let's dig in. Let's first start with the background. So first, I'm going to add a section. So there's a section, and within the section, let's give it a size. A height of view port height. So I'm going to choose custom, and then with minimum height, I'm going to change this on to VH, and then give this 100 VH. And then for width, I'm going to give it a full width. Right, that is good. The next thing I'm going to go is into layout. Make sure that this is centeredly aligned. Now let's go to spacing. Spacing, I want the top to be 90, all the sides to be 0. I'm just going to apply 0 everywhere, and then give the top a 90. Right, so top is 90, all sides is 0. Let me give a bottom of also 90 pixels. I think that is good. There's all right, I'm going to remove the 90 pixels from here. I'm going to apply it differently when it is time to do that. All right, so that is our section. Let me just rename this into hero section. All right, so that is pretty good. So we are done with our section. The next thing is to apply our background color. So background color, I'm going to go in here and then look for background color, which is this. All right, so that is my background color. The next thing I'm going to do is to create the gradient that we have at the top over here. All right, so to do that, we're going to use a div. So come back to our element panel. I'm going to add a div, and within this div, make sure the div is selected. I'm going to rename the div into a shadow. I don't think I spelled shadow right. Right, so into shadow, and what I'm going to do is to make it 100 width. So I'm going to give this one percentage of 100%. That is good. And then the height, we're going to use minimum height. The minimum height of 100. So it covers the minimum height over there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is to go into the spacing. And then for top margin, I'm going to give it 75. But make sure that it is minus 75. Instead of pixel, choose VH. So this is good. I'm going to save it. The next thing I'm going to do is to apply color background to this. The color background for this should be around here. Okay, top gradient, right? I just want to copy this color. Okay, so this is good. So remove this. I just wanted the hex code. That's why I did that. But what we're going to do is a gradient. So gradient, make sure we click on here, and then we have two colors. We have the red and then we have the black. For us to really see what is happening, I'm going to go make sure that the div is selected, go to spacing, and then remove this so that you can see what is really happening. And then click back on the gradient. Over here, I'm going to make sure that this is radial. So the red is the first one that is selected, and then the black is the one that is on the edge. So what we need to do is to make sure that we give the red the color that we really want to see, which is this color over here. And then this black, I'm going to make sure that it is transparent. That is really good. Now what we're going to do is to push this back like that, so that the edge is not that sharp. I'm going to make it this way, right? And then we're going to go back here and then type our 75, but make sure that we have negative margin, and then change this one to VH, just like that. I'm going to save that. So that is the first thing that we're going to do. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that this has a position, and then make sure that this is absolutely positioned so that it is not interfering with the rest of the things that we'll be adding. So absolute position, and then you can just give the top a 0, which should work nicely. The next thing we're going to do is to make sure that the index over here, the Z index for this, is 0, so that it will be the what sits all the way at the bottom. So that is good for the gradient. The next thing that we want to do is to start building this out. So first, I'm going to copy this. All right, so we need 1, 2, 3, meaning like 4 elements over here. So the first element that we need is a div. So the div, what this div is holding is going to do is going to hold the text that we do have. So let me just put in text, and then the text is also going to have a color. Now it's also going to, not a text, but there's an icon over there. So I'm going to add an icon to that. So this text, I'm going to change it to this. That is good. And then let's go to click on the div and then make sure the layout is horizontally. So I'm going to do space in between. You can do centered, whatever works for you. So that is middle, and that is good. All right, so we just want to give a gap to this of 8. We have a gap of 8. Now we just have to change the color and the text. So I'm going to paste in that text that I copied, go to styling, and for typography, I want to change this one to the text that we have, which is white text. That is good. All right, so that is the color that we need, and the font size is enter. The font family is enter, and then the size is 13, and then change this one to 400 for the weight. Now let's click on this icon and try and choose the icon. What we need is an arrow. I'm just going to type in an arrow over here, go down, and then look for the appropriate arrow. Now we're going to change the size of the arrow to probably 12 or 16. I think a 12 should be fine. Even if, yeah, I think a 12 should be fine. So let's do probably 14. That is okay. I'm going to change the color of this to that. That should be good. And now let me click on this div that's going to contain all the text. And then let me go to spacing. And at the top, I want to give it a 90 pixels so it comes all the way down. I can see what I'm doing. So in here, I'm going to add another div. So let's say that's another div. This div is going to hold what we have here. Then go to layout, and then make sure that layout is horizontal. So using horizontal and then middle. All right, so make sure this, remove the layer for that, and that should be good. Because this one, we don't need it to be horizontal, we need to vertical. All right, so this one, which has these elements, I'm going to make sure that we have a gap of 8. All right, so around it, we need to have a border. So go to container, and then with pattern, I'm going to make sure the right is 12, the left is 12, top is 5, the bottom is 5. And then we're going to give it a border of 1 pixel, a radius of probably 12. We can leave the color like that. We can leave the style like that. You don't have to touch anything. That will be the default. All right, that is good. The next thing that we want to do is to add a background color. So background color should be, what is the background color? Okay, it should be this one. That is good. And then over here, the icon also has a bit of background. So the icon has these, consider there's a solid, there's an outline. If you choose solid, it's too big. Even if you put like 8, it's still a bit big. We can do round, we can do square, we can do custom. We can give this one an 8. So we can do this, but this is not what we want. But we can just choose that, and then the background color, we can just change that to this. All right, so that will be the end for this very one. The next thing that we want to do is okay, before I even go, make sure I click on that, and I'm going to go into over here. There is no margin left and right, but there's a wrapper on it, so I'm going to click on over here and go to the wrapper, and then go to spacing, and I want to give this -8. Bring it in like that, and that should be well. All right, the next thing is a text, so make sure this div is selected, and then in here we're going to add a heading text. So for heading text, I'm going to come into here and then copy this, All right, so I just pasted that text over there. What we are going to do next is to style it. So over here, make sure we have enter. So enter is good. Weight is 500. Here is 80 pixels. Color is white. And then make sure that when we click on this div, we center everything in here like that. All right, next thing I'm going to do is click on here, go to advanced, give this 1. And then for letter spacing, I'm going to give it minus 1.6 like that. That should be good. All right, the next one that we need is this text. So copy the text, go in here, make sure that this div is selected. And then let's add a text in here. Okay, paste the text. Now the paste is working. All right. All right, so this is 20. And then here is enter. Color as this. And then weight, we can do like 400 is good. Yeah, nothing else over here. That is fine. All right, the next thing to do is to add our button. So that is our button. Make sure the button is in the right spot. All right, so that is our button. The text here is get started. All right, so that is the text. Going to styling, button, use custom. Over here, we want to do, we will leave the size, but the background we need all right, this has a gradient background, so I'm going to work on that. But make sure that it's rounded, such. Color for, we need an icon. We need a chevron icon. So chevron. All right, so that is the icon that we needed, and that is good. What we are going to do next is to make sure that when we hover, background color, we're going to fix background color later. Color, let's make this into a linear color. And then also we want to make sure that this one is 9, more like 96, 93, 92. So I'm going to pick the colors that we need, which we can find over here when we come here. But before that, I want to make sure that I have all the 3 colors ready. So this one should be like in the 9, it'd be like 40 something, and this one should come all the way to like 60. All right, so we need 3 colors. So I'm going to open the developers panel. In here, I'm going to choose the button. It has 3 colors that we can see all the way down here. So 96, 94, 181. So the first one, 69, 94, 181. Okay, so that's the first color. The next color is 86, 67, 204. So I'll select the second color. So 86, 64, 204. Right, and the last but not the least is 103, 63, 215. So 103, 103, 56, 216. All right, so those are the colors that we needed. The last thing that we are going to do on this is to add a hover effect. And when someone hover effect, we have like a background gradient kind of thing over there. So what I'm going to do, make sure that your button is clicked. Go to the advanced panel. Over here, we're going to go to wrapper hover. I'm going to click on here, and then I want to do effects. So the effect that I want to add is a box shadow. So a box shadow color of top gradient hover. So I chose that one. And then I want to make sure that this is 0, this is 1, and this is 40. All right. So when you hover, you should have that kind of effect over there. That is nice. Now let me save it. All right. So this div that contains all the text over here. Make sure that is selected. Rename this to text div, which is good. And then I'm going to space this one to 30 pixels in between all of it, and let's save it. We're just going to preview this and see where we are at. All right, that is good. All right, so our background color looks kind of too harsh. So I'm going to click on the shadow and then go to color, and then over here, I'm going to just make sure that this one is not full, but it's more like so at 30. Okay, just save it, go back here and then refresh it, and that is there. All right, that is good. I think we've done good with this on time. The next thing that we're going to do is have our image and what loads when we consider something loads over here. So we are going to work on that. So to do that, we're going to add a div. So our hero section is selected, and then let's add a new div. And then for this div, what I want to do is make sure it's selected. I want to give spacing and give probably 160 pixels for the tab. All right, so for this div, so width is 1200, and that is what we need. And the height itself, we don't really, I'm not going to touch the height for now, which is okay. All right, so within this, we need to add an image. But before we add the image, we need to add another div. So what this div is going to do is going to hold a div inside. So make sure this div is select, this div is in there. Go to container. I'm going to change this one into percentage, 100%. All right, with 100%, this one, the height is 680.55. So that is the height for the div. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is to go into border here. The radius is 8. We don't really have to do anything much on that. And in here, what I am going to do is to go here and then copy a string of code that we need for the background. So let me use the panel. All right, so there's the colors that we need. So I'm just going to copy everything from here and then go into Motion.Page. All right, so this div over here that we have, I'm going to add one more div. All right, so why are we adding one more div again? So I'm just going to make this 100%, and then the height too, I'm going to make it so it's 100% relative to what it is in. Maybe 100% wouldn't suffice. So what I am going to, no, we can leave this like that. It's going to work later on. So in here, I'm going to go to advanced, and in the advanced section, I'm going to open the panel and then type in percentage selector, and then percentage, and then open, paste in the code, and then close. All right, so that is what we have now. I'm just going to save that. All right, I'm going to click on the div that hosts the div with the gradient, right? I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to type in overflow. So overflow, I'm going to hide it. All right, so what did we just do over here? I'm going to go back. So you see this panel that looks like it is blurred out. Yeah, that panel, we need to make sure we need to make sure that we are able to create that. So we took the gradient over here and applied it to a div, and so that the gradient doesn't spit out, we have to put the div inside another div and then make sure that the overflow is hidden. So I'm going to click on this. Okay, this is good. So click on here and then make sure when I come to the advanced section, I'm going to go into the wrapper, and I'll go to effect, and this I can make it like a 1. Oh, 1 means full, sorry. So anything other than 1, we can do like even a 2. A 2 is good, and then I'm just going to save it. All right, so in here, what we're going to do is that we want this div to be more like we want to be an overflow, not an overflow per se, but I want the position to be absolute. So I type in position here and then click on the advanced icon and then make sure that this is absolute. So the position for this is absolute. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is to add an image. So make sure that this this div is selected. Then in here, let's add an image. So image, and then the image, we're going to click on here, and then I'm going to go back into linear. This is the image that we want to use. Just going to copy the link and then come to what I'm doing here. And then from URL, I'm going to just paste in that. And then I'm going to insert it. All right, so that is good. So this image, make sure it's selected, go to styling. And then in here, I want to make sure that the border, the radius is 8. Border radius is 8, and that is good. All right, so let's go in here and then do a little thing. So this is what we have. What we are going to do next, make sure the hero section is selected, go to spacing. I'm going to give this one 90 on the bottom. That is good. All right, that is pretty good. I'm just going to refresh here and see. All right, we have the space there. All right, you can see that there's a glow. There's a glow when you do. Consider this glow is the same thing that we need. So what I am going to do is come back to my dev, and then in here I'm going to duplicate this and then push this down. All right, so this very particular one, I'm going to go in here and then go to container. Make sure that instead of 100%, I'm going to do pixel and then give this one 680.55. All right, and then make sure that we go into advanced, and then in the wrapper, I want to make sure that this effect is out so that we have the full gradient. All right, what we also need to do now is to have position. So for position, I'm going to make sure that I click on here and then make this absolute. All right, that is good. And then after position, let's do index. And then make sure that index is 0. And then I'm just going to move this up here. All right, good. So we are almost done with what we need to do. The next thing that we're going to do is to make sure that we can create our perspective. So you can see, go back to linear. See how the thing is tilted. We're going to try and create that tilt with some numbers. So the tilt will apply to everything that is here. So including all of this over here. So what I am going to do, make sure that this is selected. Let's call this one anime dev. Should I save? See, anime dev. All right, that is good. All right, so make sure this is selected, and then what we're going to do is to create a perspective. So dev is selected, go to advanced, and click on this advanced, and then we click on wrapper. So in the wrapper, I'm going to bring this forward here so you can see. We go to effect. In the effect panel, what we want to add are transforms. So click on here. I'm going to add perspective first. The perspective, we want perspective to be 2000 pixels. And then we want this to tilt on the 3D one for the x-axis. So we want this one to tilt on the x-axis. So if I start moving this, let's say we do like 28 or even like 30, let's say 35, this is what we get. So if I go back over here and then I refresh, so this is our panel. All right, so this is what we have with the build. So it took us probably like 25 minutes to do this, laying out everything that we need to do. Is there anything that I'm missing? Probably not. But what I am going to do is to give these things classes. All right, so let's click on the first dev shadow. Let's do shadow first. It doesn't need anything. We're not going to animate that. All right, so in here, there's big div. So text, right? So for the text, I'm going to make sure I go over here, go to class. I have like some old classes that I'm just going to use. So this is the first one. Go over here to there's number 2. This one should be number 3. And then button should be number 4. and that is good. All right, the next thing that we want to do is give this one a class, a main class. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So this should be number 5. That's for the main. And then this div, we can call, which one is this? Okay, this is a shadow. Gradient div. All right, that is good. So if we do have this is number 5, then this should be number 6. So this is number 6. The div for we don't really have to do anything with this, so we can just let it slide. So I can just leave it there. And then the image, go to advanced, and over here, and give this one div image. That is good. All right, so this we can go and remove this, and give it the Ani div, which is probably a right name to give. All right, so we are I think we are done with the build. If I missed anything yet, I'll try and add it up when we are doing the animation. So our next phase of this is to try and build some of the animation that we have using Motion.Page. So let's head into Motion.Page and see what we can do. Okay, so we are in Motion.Page now. So next phase of this whole build is to try and create the animation that we do have here. So let's animate these and then also animate what we have on this one. And then afterwards, we're just going to create the whole skew thing that we do see here. So let's get back into Motion.Page and start. So the first thing that we're going to do is to animate everything, the div, text 1. So this these divs, I think they only fade in from the top to the bottom, so nothing too crazy. So that's what we're going to do. So first, we're going to make sure that opacity from the top is 0. And then translation, we're going to do negative 30 pixels. Sorry, negative 30%. And then we also want this this whole animation to play one after the other because we selected more than one element. So we want the animation to play one after the other like that. So that is good. I'm just going to change the ease into probably power 2, and then I'm going to play again. All right, so that is good for the very first one. The next thing that we're going to do is to animate the elements over here with the fading and stuff like that. So for me, where I'm going to start is to deal with the whole rotation that we do have. So let me open a new node. So this is the first node. This first node is going to apply to you can see that when you come here, you can see that the element is turned and then it zooms out. Now it zooms out and then zoom in. So it goes back and it comes forward again. So let me just refresh it again so you can see. Okay, so how we are going to do that is this first one is going to have a scale of 1 to 0.85. So let me go back. All right, so I didn't even select the div for that yet. So make sure that I select the div. I'm just gonna come in here, see what I can select. All right, so I just have to find the name for this div. I'm gonna open here and then go to the structure panel. I think this is the anime div. I need a class for this, which is that anime.div. Right, so over here I'm gonna type in that anime dash and then div. All right, so you can see if I play it. All right, so you can see it zooms back, and then what we want to do is I'm going to duplicate this. So duplicate, and then bring it all the way over here. And then with this, what I want to do is to make sure that it's the opposite. So this one should be 0.85 to a 1. So that is good. So I'm just going to go back and then play it again. All right, you can see that it it zooms back and it zooms forward again. So let's add a little ease to this. Let's say power 3. All right, so and then let's also change this one to also power 3. I'm gonna go here, also change this one to power 3, and then go over here, go to the 2, and then change this one also to power 3. And then let's save this, go back and then play. Nice. All right. So whilst this is doing all of this nice stuff over here, we also want this one to rotate. So by the time it gets to here, it comes back to 1. We want it to rotate. So I'm going to still click on this and then duplicate it and then stretch it out a little. And then over here, I want to remove the scales. And then now I want to add a rotation. So I open the rotation and then click on this element because I only want to rotate on the x-axis. So what I want to do is to move it from to get to 0. All right, so let's play this and see. All right, so going back into Linear, refresh. So you can see that when this is rotating, so let's pull this one back and see what happens. All right, so this is too fast with the rotation. All right, I think we are close. So go here and then start turning. Probably let me push this up a little. All right, so that is good. So the next thing that we want to do is to fade our image. So when this one fades, we also want the image to fade. All right, so let's add a new one. So with this, what we want is the image. So I'm going to make sure that I look for the div for this image. The class. The class name is .dev-image. Right, so .dev-img. Make sure that the image is selected like that. Okay, with this, we just want an opacity from 0 to 1. All right, so go back and then let's save that. All right, but you can see that it's showing too fast, and we don't really want that. So what I want to do, just give this a bit of breathing space. So let's push this back, and then also push this one a bit back. And then let's go back again. All right, what I want to do is this can stay there. Let me go here. All right, this is good. The next thing that we want to do is to animate the gradient that we have in the back. So I'm going to go back into Breakdance. Let me find, this is the gradient. The class is .lp-6 -text-6. So I'm going to go in here and then I'm going to add a new node. So node number 1. Let me see what I can select this. I can select it. That's fine. So I'm just going to type in .lp-txt-6. So that is selected. If I have one, I can say it's selected over there. All right. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that from the beginning, everything is faded out, 0 to 0. So that's the first thing that we want to do. So we don't see nothing at all. All right. So when this start fading in, now we want, remember what this one does, that it comes bright and it goes dark again. Let me go over here and refresh again. So bright and then it starts fading out again. So what we want to do is, there's the first one. I'm going to duplicate this, push this back a little, then push this one forward. So when the image start coming in, that is when we want this to go from 1 to 1. want to go, let's probably say we want it to go from 0 to 1. So let's go back. I'm going to save this and play it. How do I feel about it? So go in here. So it comes on. So let's duplicate this again and push it back like that. And then with this, we want it to go from 1 to probably like a 0.3. So go back, play again. All right, so you can see that we want this to stretch out a little, so it to be a bit longer. All right, so the next thing that I really think we should do is just give this one a little bit of space. Like let's push this here and push this here. Make this a bit longer. Make this a bit longer. Push this more. Bring this back, and then also push this one a bit longer, and then bring this over here. And then let's play game. Let's see whether this is going to give it. All right, so it looks like we are coming. It's coming along nicely. So I'm just going to put this one into full screen. Beautiful like that. So this I think we are basically done with some of the animation. We are not going to do like there's a lot of like tons of animation over here. But what really looks really intriguing to me is what I have been able to recreate using Breakdance, WordPress, and Motion.Page. So those are the 3 things that I used to create this. So you can see that we do have a very similar animation with what you see on this website by Linear.Page. So yeah, for those who are asking about how to recreate this, this is how you recreate it. Or this is how I created it using Breakdance and Motion.Page. If you enjoyed this, you can give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, OB Studios, you can also give me a subscription. If you're looking to purchase Breakdance, use the link below. If you want to purchase Motion.Page, use the link below. Motion.Page is going away from lifetime license. So if you want to get it before that, please do that. Yep, Nyakun here. Peace out.